Hi students, welcome to Alpos e-learning chemistry classes for second year. The running chapter is electrochemistry and now we are in session number 13. In previous sessions we discussed about the applications of Kohlrausch law and it is related to measuring the conductance of weak electrolytes at infinite dilution, or it is in measuring the transport number, or in measuring the solubility of the sparingly soluble salts, like that, and also in measuring the ionic mobility, absolute ionic mobility of the ions, like that. Clear? And in that session I provided one numerical related to solubility of sparingly soluble salt and asked you to solve. I hope you solved and waiting for the result, I think. Okay, here I am going to give the hint and solution for that numerical. Just you follow. What the question data is the specific conductance of kappa, so that is specific conductance kappa of AgCl is given, and it is given as 1.24 into 10 to the power of minus 6 ohm inverse centimeter inverse, and the conductance of Ag plus is given at infinite dilution. It is equal to 53.8, and the conductance of Cl minus is given. It is as 65.3 ohm inverse mole inverse centimeters square. And now what they are asking is find the solubility of AgCl, which is sparingly soluble salt, in grams per 100 ml. This is the question, is it not? And now let us find the solution for it. Simple. We know the conductance at infinite dilution for any electrolyte can be known from the conductances of the ions that involved in that electrolyte from Kohlrausch law. So here first let us consider lambda infinite of AgCl from these two, that is lambda naught Ag plus lambda naught Cl minus, and with these two 53.8 plus 65.3, whatever you are getting that value, 53.8 65.3, nothing but 1, it is 9, and it is 11, 9 and 11. Okay, 119.1. And when at infinite dilution the conductance is known. Now we know lambda infinite of any electrolyte is equal to kappa into V, and here V is nothing but the volume in ml, where one equivalent weight or 1 mole. Here for this AgCl the equivalent weight and molecular weights are same. Why? Because both these two are having unipositive and uninegative, that is monovalent ions. For monovalent ions Z factor is 1, that's why both are same. You can consider in any of these two. So V is the volume in ml where one molecular weight, that is 1 mole of the electrolyte, is dissolved, completely dissolved. So we have to measure this V now. How to get it? V is nothing but lambda infinite by kappa, that is lambda infinite just now we measure, it is nothing but 119.1 by kappa value they provided 1.24 into 10 to the power of minus 6, that is 119.1 by 1.24 into 10 to the power of 6 is volume. This is the volume where 1 mole of AgCl is completely dissolved. Clear? And now when this much of volume, that is 119.1 by 1.24 into 10 to the power of 6 ml has 1 mole. 1 mole, what is 1 mole? It is 1 molecular weight. Now let us calculate molecular weight of AgCl. Ag atomic weight, I think you know, it is nothing but 108, and Cl atomic weight 35.5. So the sum is nothing but 143.5. So this volume of electrolyte possesses 1 mole, that is 143.5 grams. I think now you can solve the remaining part. When 143.5 grams is present in this ml, in 100 ml how much is present? Clear? When 143.5 grams, it is nothing but 1 mole, molecular weight of AgCl. When this amount is present in this volume is measured from this Kohlrausch's application of this. These two is giving the conductance at infinite dilution, and it is used for this equivalent conductance is kappa into V. Already we know this formula. And here the V is nothing but the volume where one equivalent weight is found to dissolve completely, that or 1 mole is completely dissolved. So when the volume is known, in that volume 1 molecular weight, 1 mole of the electrolyte is dissolved, then 1 molecular weight is 143. So this much of volume possesses this much of weight. What they are asking, the question is how much of the solubility of AgCl in grams per 100 ml they are asking. In case if they are giving the solubility of AgCl, then you can consider grams per 1000 ml, but specifically when they are giving for 100 ml, you have to consider this. So this ml possesses this much, 100 ml possesses how much? Clear? That is the solution for the previous session numerical. And now in this session, some more applications we can find for this Kohlrausch's law. And now let us discuss on these applications. And one of the important application for that is nothing but calculating the degree of dissociation alpha of weak electrolytes. This is one more and very important for your competitive examination purpose. Degree of dissociation alpha. And first let us have an idea about this. Already we know in the previous sessions, in the beginning of the lessons, we are having the alpha from Arrhenius law of weak electrolytes, Arrhenius dilution law of weak electrolytes, is it not, or Arrhenius theory of weak electrolytes. There what we are defining this alpha, it is nothing but the ratio of the number of molecules of the electrolyte, molecules split into ions by total number of molecules of electrolyte dissolved, not present, because when it is dissolved it will generate the total ions from that molecule. If the molecule form is present, it is not responsible for conductivity. Here in assumption, that is in imaginary, we are considering that if the total molecules of the electrolyte is completely dissolved, what will be the conductance? Clear? So here the degree of dissociation as per Arrhenius theory has been given like this. And now here this is, now we are relating to the conductance capacity of the electrolyte, as when the molecule is splitting to certain extent, not complete, then these ions which are formed because of some extent dissociation or ionization is responsible the conductivity at that dilution, at that particular given dilution. And now this is when the total number of molecules is dissolved. Already from the beginning we discussed that the molecular form is not responsible for the conductance of weak electrolytes. Just what we are saying is the molecules which are dissolved when undergo 100% ionization, the maximum extent of conductance, that conductance is known as conductance at infinite dilution or conductance at zero concentration, or it is also known as limiting conductance of the electrolyte. Is it not? So in all these cases, when the total molecules are dissociated, it is nothing but responsible for the conductance at infinite dilution. As we know, it is nothing but lambda infinity. And now when Arrhenius relation is related to conductance, because these ions are responsible for those conductance. Simply now we can find that degree of dissociation can be known from the conductance at a particular dilution by conductance at infinite dilution. This is the formulation. Are you clear with this one? The conductance at a particular dilution. At a particular dilution means it is not supposed to go 100% ionization. That's why at a given concentration, simply we can say that. Clear? So when we are considering the conductance of the electrolyte at a given or at a dilution and the conductance at infinite dilution, we are simply considering the ratio of conductance. That's why we can consider this degree of dissociation. Simply it is nothing but the ratio of conductance. Ratio of conductance. The ratio of which conductance here we are considering? Just you remember the ratio of conductance at a given dilution to that of infinite dilution. And now you may have the doubt, sir, how far it is related to Kohlrausch law? How far it is related? Just it is nothing but again we are having this lambda infinite. For any electrolyte, irrespective of the strength of that electrolyte, the conductivity or the conductance at infinite dilution of an electrolyte is equal to the conductance of the component ions present in that solution. So instead of lambda infinite, we can consider lambda A by lambda V by lambda A plus lambda C. Here A and C are nothing but anion and cation. So this relation again we are finding the Kohlrausch law application. That's why it is related. Clear? This is again, let me give the highlighted points. Degree of dissociation already defined from Arrhenius theory of weak electrolytes, and where we are defining the degree of dissociation as the ratio of the number of molecules of the electrolyte that split into ions and to that of the total number of molecules present in that electrolyte solution. And now the same, now we are connecting with the conductivity of the electrolytes. When the molecules are split into ions, that ions are responsible for the conductivity of the electrolyte, is it not? And now when the splitting is happened to some extent, only to some extent the number of ions will form at a given dilution. It is not infinite dilution, just you remember, at a given dilution that is represented with lambda V. So here the conductance is related to the number of ions formed, that is related to the number of molecules split. Clear? And next, here the total number of molecules when undergo 100% ionization, then automatically the conductance is at infinite dilution. So here this number of molecules that present that dissolved in electrolyte is supposed to be undergoing 100% ionization, you remember, not in molecular form. Clear? And these ions, in case imaginarily, if all these are undergoing 100% ionization, then automatically the electrolyte will get maximum conductance. That conductance is known as conductance at infinite dilution. So this ratio is nothing but alpha, degree of dissociation. And now that ratio, conductance at a given dilution and conductance at infinite dilution, conductance ratio is considered for degree of dissociation. That's why the degree of dissociation in other term we can consider as ratio of conductance or conductance ratio simply. And now this is related to Kohlrausch law simply by this. At lambda infinite means the conductance at infinite dilution or limiting conductance or conductance at zero concentration is related like this. A and C are nothing but anion and cation present in the electrolyte solution. So now we are ultimately getting this formulation. And just you remember, in coming days sometimes they may ask, by providing the lambda infinite, if we are getting lambda infinite, that is the conductance of electrolyte from the ionic conductances, all these, then they may ask the conductance of that electrolyte at a particular dilution. So from this formula we can use that is lambda V is nothing but alpha, degree of dissociation into conductance at infinite dilution. This formula we are going to use sometimes, that's why you remember that one also. Are you clear with this one? And now let me give some numericals on this part, because we are finding some important questions from this in terms of competitive examinations. That's why let us practice few questions, and as usual I am going to discuss few questions here, and the remaining is given to you, will be given to you to solve. Clear? And first let me give model 1. Just you write, note down. Directly I will provide the data in the data form, not in the question form, because it is online. Here the equivalent conductance of 0.02 molar acetic acid is given. That means this we can consider as lambda V. Why? Because it is at a given dilution, at a given concentration, not at zero concentration, not at infinite dilution. So here it is conductance of 0.02 molar acetic acid is found to be 1.162 into 10 to the power of minus 3 mole inverse meter square, like that. And if lambda naught H plus is given as 349.83 ohm inverse and mole inverse and so on, and centimeter square, like that. And then lambda naught acetate ion is also given. It is given as 40.89 ohm inverse, mole inverse and so on. Then find alpha of acetic acid. This is the question what they are providing. It is basic level question, I think. Why? Because already we know lambda V we know it is 1.162 into 10 to the power of minus 3, we know. And now alpha is nothing but lambda V by lambda infinite, and this lambda infinite value we can get from these two, because as per Kohlrausch law, lambda infinite of acetic acid is nothing but the sum of conductances of these two ions that present in the electrolyte solutions. So the sum, that is 349.83 plus 40.89 will provide lambda infinite. So just by substituting the 349.83 plus 40.89, this ratio is nothing but alpha, the degree of dissociation of that acetic acid, like that. It is a simple question. Clear? And now let me provide you some numerical to solve on your own. Model 2. Here the model 2 problem is like this. The equivalent conductance of 0.1 molar weak acid, equivalent conductance of 0.1 molar weak acid is found to be 100 times less. That is, lambda V is 100 times less than that of lambda infinite of that S. It is 100 times less than that of conductance, equivalent conductance of that acid at infinite dilution. Then they asked for degree of dissociation of that weak acid. Clear? That is model 2, and you try to solve this question. And next, coming to model 3, here some sort that is the some more difficulty, not more, much more, just standard is improved. In this case what they are giving is lambda 0.01 molar NH4Cl is given. That is, for 0.01 molar ammonium hydroxide, not chloride, ammonium hydroxide is given as 9.4 ohm inverse mole inverse centimeter square. That is, it is nothing but, already we know, we can consider this as lambda V, because simple, when concentration is given, it is at a particular dilution. If concentration is 0, then automatically it is at the infinite dilution, is it not? So here concentration given, it is at a particular dilution. At a particular dilution, the symbol used for representation is lambda V. Lambda V is given, and now they ask for alpha, that is degree of dissociation of NH4OH, provided they are giving some other data to compute this, that they are giving lambda infinite of NaCl electrolyte is 126, and then lambda naught NaOH is given as 217, and lambda naught NH4Cl electrolyte is given as 130 ohm inverse, mole inverse, centimeter square respectively. So by providing the conductance at a defined or at a particular dilution, the value and concentration is given. And now they are, by providing these different data, I think by considering these all, you can calculate the required conductance of NH4OH at infinite dilution by applying Kohlrausch law for weak electrolytes, is it not? So you apply that formula, you will get the conductance of NH4OH at infinite dilution, you will get, then substitute. So altogether this is conductance at a given dilution, and they are asking to calculate degree of dissociation of NH4OH, and they are providing additional information for you like this. That is third model. Clear? And next, model number 4. It is somewhat here the question. First you note down the question, and I will provide some hint before you solving that. The model number 4. Here what they are providing is lambda naught acetic acid, that is the conductance of acetic acid at infinite dilution is given as 390.7 ohm inverse, mole inverse centimeter square. That is, they are giving the conductance at infinite dilution. Previously, up to the previous numericals, what they are providing is conductance at a defined or at a particular dilution, but directly they are giving at infinite dilution. But what they are asking is the molar conductance of 0.01 molar CH3COOH. That means here the story is reversed. By providing the conductance at infinite dilution, now they are asking if this is the conductance at infinite dilution for acetic acid, you measure the conductance of that acetic acid at this concentration. So that means at a particular dilution they ask you to calculate the conductance. And now here what they are providing the data is they are giving Ka value, that is the dissociation constant of acetic acid. It is given as 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 5. This is given. The dissociation constant is provided for weak acid, and the conductance at infinite dilution for acetic acid is given, and now they are asking lambda V. I think you require some more. You have to recollect the concept from ionic equilibrium chapter from junior inter, and try on your own. Okay, in the next coming session I will discuss about that. Try your own and try to get the alpha, that is degree of dissociation first, and after finding the degree of dissociation from your basics from ionic equilibrium, you substitute that value to get this lambda V. I think you can solve. That is about the application of Kohlrausch law related to degree of dissociation. And now in this session one more discussion we have to do. That is nothing but the last application of Kohlrausch law in finding the ionic product Kw of water at 25 degrees centigrade. Ionic product Kw. I think you may recollect or you may remember that ionic product is related to ionic equilibrium chapter, that is related to first year junior inter syllabus, is it not? And how to find? We know that ionic product, actually if we ask what is ionic product, value, simply you can say that it is at 25 degrees centigrade. You can say that it is nothing but equal to 10 to the power of minus 14 moles square per liter square. Directly you can give this answer. And now the question is, how we are measuring this? Just imaginarily we are considering that the ionic product of water is supposed to be like this. But in this, that is in electrochemistry, we are proving from Kohlrausch law that at 25 degrees centigrade, this ionic product of water is Kw is equal to this one. Clear? And before going to that, just let me make you to recollect by briefing the ionic product of water how it is. As we know, water is weak electrolyte, that too it is autoionizing or self-ionizing liquid or substance that will establish an equilibrium between the dissociated and undissociated molecules like this. It is very limited extent dissociation will happen. Let me give that. Out of 10 to the power of 7 moles of water, 1 will undergo dissociation. Just out of 10 to the power of 7 moles of water, only 1 mole will undergo dissociation. Or simply in case of, we are considering the number of molecules, out of 10 to the power of 7 molecules, water molecules, only 1 will go for dissociation. And you remember, if second molecule tend to dissociate, simply in the same time a backward reaction of combining these two to get water will happen. That means here the equilibrium will establish at 25 degrees centigrade. You remember, because the degree of dissociation is an endothermic process. The dissociation is an endothermic process, and thereby degree of dissociation depends on temperature. So this dissociation of water will be affected only by temperature, no other factor. That's why we are considering. And now, when 10 to the power of 7, all these calculations are only at 25 degrees centigrade. Clear? And when 10 to the power of 7 moles present, 1 mole dissociated means if in that electrolyte only 1 mole present, then what happened to this? Simple. 1 by 10 to the power of 7, 1 by 10 to the power of 7. That means out of this much of moles will dissociate. And now when it is 1, now when we are considering this denominator to come into numerator, it is 10 to the power of minus 7 and this is 10 to the power of minus 7. This is the reason why we are considering H plus or OH minus concentrations at 25 degrees centigrade are like this. Actually, how we are getting that negative value? It is nothing but from this proportion. This is observed. Out of 10 to the power of 7, 1 molecule will or 1 mole will dissociate. And when 10 to the power of 7 makes 1 mole dissociate like this, if 1 mole present, then 1 by 10 to the power of 7. That makes when we are considering the values, we are getting this. Are you clear? And now, coming to this. Now, for convenience sake, how we can derive this equation into formulation? That one is like this. H2O dissociated, H plus and OH minus. In this, we are considering concentration of water in C, and here these are 0 and 0 in the beginning, and now at equilibrium C minus C alpha, C alpha, C alpha, we are taking this, is it not? And now from this, the dissociation constant Kd or K, simply you can consider, is equal to H plus concentration into OH minus concentration by H2O. But H2O present in its own, it is solvent, it is solute, its concentration is fixed, and thereby if this concentration which is fixed or constant value, when we are making it to come this side, K dissociation constant into H2O is a new constant, and now that new constant is equal to H plus concentration and OH minus ion concentration product. This new constant, dissociation constant into concentration of water, will give a new constant. That new constant is equal to, that value is equal to the concentration of H plus and OH minus ions. Clear? And being the constant is nothing but the product of the concentration of the ions that present in water. Again I am repeating, being this constant which is proposed, assumed to be formed, is equal to the product of the concentrations of the ions. These two ions are present in water, you know. So when the product of concentrations of these two ions is equal to this, it is known as ionic product. That's why it is given the name. It is nothing but simply equal to the concentration products of the ions that present in water. That's why it is known as ionic product of water. Clear? That is equal to, as we know, at room temperature, what is the H plus value? 10 to the power of minus 7. What is OH minus value? 10 to the power of minus 7. So when both these two are this value, if you substitute in this case, then you are getting Kw is equal to 10 to the power of minus 7 into 10 to the power of minus 7, where you are getting 10 to the power of minus 14 moles square per liter square. This is all here we are imagining that this happened like this. But practically, is there any proof? Yes. Here we are having that proof. How? Just you observe kappa. What is kappa? Specific conductance. That specific conductance of water at 25 degrees centigrade is found to be 5.54 into 10 to the power of minus 8 ohm inverse centimeter inverse. Ohm inverse centimeter inverse, the specific conductance kappa. And now we are having, let us imagine, in case if one equivalent weight of H2O is dissolved in 1 liter of water. Again, that means here don't get confused, we are considering the electrolyte that present in the solution is water. And what is the solvent? Solvent is also water, imaginarily, because it itself is a solute and solvent. Both water here behaves both as solute and solvent. Clear? So when 1 gram equivalent weight of water is present in 1 liter of water, now we can get the conductance by the formula kappa into V. We know where V is nothing the volume which possesses 1 gram equivalent weight of the solute. So with this formula we can get lambda V of water as 5.54 into 10 to the power of minus 8 into volume. 1 liter means 1000. That we are getting 5.54 into 10 to the power of minus 5 ohm inverse mole or equivalent weight inverse centimeter square. Clear? And now from this we can measure the alpha degree of dissociation of water. How? It is nothing but lambda infinite of water. What is lambda infinite of water? That is conductance of water at infinite dilution. And what it is equal to conductance of H plus at infinite dilution, that is 0 concentration, plus conductance of OH minus at infinite dilution. The sum of these two is nothing but the conductance of water at infinite dilution. It is as per Kohlrausch law. And now we are having the fixed value because it is constant. Already we know for any ion at a given temperature at infinite dilution the conductance is always fixed irrespective of the nature of the electrolyte, that is the parental electrolyte strength. In a similar manner, this lambda not H plus is 349.8 ohm inverse equivalent weight inverse centimeter square, and lambda naught OH minus is found to be equal to 198.5 ohm inverse equivalent weight inverse centimeter square. And now with these two values we are getting lambda infinite of water, is it not? So now when it is considered, lambda infinite of water is equal to 349.8 ohm inverse, that is 349.8 plus 198.5. Now it is coming to 349.8 198.5. it appears to be, here it is 3 8 and now 4, now it is 548.3. 48.3. This is lambda infinite, and now we are having these two values, lambda infinite we know, and when one equivalent weight is dissolved in 1 liter, what is the concentration? 1 normal. Concentration is unity. So in such a case, V lambda, that is lambda V, is also known. And now we are having, just now we discussed about alpha. What is alpha? It is nothing but lambda V by lambda infinite. Okay, after getting this alpha, that is degree of dissociation of water, how we can get the concentrations of H plus and OH minus? Okay, are you following all these? Just you remember, here we have to consider the ionic product of water, which is supposed to be the product of concentrations of the ions that exist in the water. Here now we are trying to prove it practically. In such a case, lambda infinite H2O is found to be this as per Kohlraasch law. Clear? And now the specific conductance of water at 25 degrees centigrade is this much, and imaginarily we are making that one equivalent weight of water is present in 1 liter. Then at that given dilution or at that particular concentration, the conductance of water is taken by lambda V is equal to kappa into V, and it is giving this value. And on the other direction, lambda infinite of H2O, that is at infinite dilution, the conductance of water is taken from these two values, which is the conductance of H plus at infinite dilution and the conductance of OH minus, simply by following Kohlraasch law, where we are getting that lambda infinite of water is 548.3. And with this, we know now, already we are familiar with this formula, the degree of dissociation alpha is nothing but equal to lambda V by lambda infinite. Is it not? Now, how? Let us conclude this. How, in case if we are getting these two values, okay, and how we can measure the H plus and OH minus concentrations and thereby Kw. For that purpose, just now with this lambda V, we are found to be of having 5.54 into 10 to the power of minus 5, and lambda infinite of water is found to be 548.3 mole inverse centimeter. And now we are having alpha. Alpha is lambda V by lambda infinite, and it is 5.54 into 10 to the power of minus 5 by 548.3. that we can write this as 5.54 for simple calculation by 5.483 into 10 to the power of 2. Thereby you are getting the value as 5.54 into 10 to the power of minus 7 by 5.483. It is almost same value, and it is arriving at 1.01 in 10 to the power of minus 7. This is happening alpha. And now just before this, we discussed that H plus or OH minus ion concentrations in water is found to be at equilibrium is found to be C alpha and C alpha. But now in this discussion, we are considering one equivalent weight or 1 mole of water is dissolved in 1 equivalent weight of water is dissolved in 1 liter of water. That means the concentration is unity. So this H plus concentration or this is equal to OH minus ion concentration, that is equal to C alpha. And now we know C is 1, alpha is this much. That means H plus concentration is 1.01 in 10 to the power of minus 7, and OH is also 1.01 in 10 to the power of minus 7. And now when these two values we are getting, Kw is nothing but H plus concentration into OH minus ion concentration, that is 1.01 into 10 to the power of minus 7 into 1.01 into 10 to the power of minus 7. We are approximately rounded off this, and thereby we are getting 10 to the power of minus 14 moles square per liter square. That is nothing but ionic product of water at 25 degrees centigrade. Are you clear with this one? All these are these are the applications of Kohlrausch law. It is useful. It is a finding in all these cases. Here it is useful in finding different parameter. Clear? So with this one we completed the qualitative aspect. Qualitative aspect means till now what we studied. How much, that is nothing but when current is passed, how much of conductance the electrolytes will carry, and by carrying this towards which electrode it will proceed, and at which electrode they will discharge. All these are nothing but qualitative aspects. In the coming session we are going to enter into quantitative aspect. Till now we know that the ions will migrate and discharge at electrodes. Which ion will migrate? That is, what type of ion will migrate towards which electrode is qualitative. Now when it is discharged at a particular electrode, how much is discharged? That is quantitative. That will be discussed in the coming session. Clear? Okay.